I just want to say, so Arcion didn't need to fire a shot. Literally, water has destroyed China. The key power that they needed. Yeah, I mean, just let the irony roll over, because you and I had that discussion about China, and you were a bit more hawkish on the subject than I was, and I remember how I said no, just wait. They flew too close to the sun, and then on top of it, we kept getting told that, and it's because I'm a bit older, that I knew from earlier, like, no, we were told a lot about China, and what they've now become is very different. And it's just that a lot of you who are younger couldn't remember what it was like when John Woo in his movies, when Donnie Yen and Jet Li were young, and that it seemed like China was going to inevitably kind of be, I don't know, like socialist but capitalist, but we couldn't figure it out. No, they weren't doing anything to Hong Kong. Everything seemed hunky-dory. Everything seemed like, well, yeah, at this rate, they're going to be one of these countries with a massive new middle class. And thankfully, I gotta thank you for the 48 Laws of Power, because there were a number of things that I've made sure to kind of get more knowledgeable about, like because of what was popular among guys your age, what you guys were reading. Hayek had a chapter, How the Worst Get to the Top. That in any kind of authoritarian, the more it's centralized, bad people will get to the top. And then a lot of the 48 Laws of Power, they violated them. They violated the laws. And what's the worst part is, of any group of people, as you know from that book, that any group of people, they should have seen a lot of this coming. They should have understood that there was all these things that fundamentally, if they just didn't do shit, if they just let growth occur slowly but surely, if they just kind of allowed for it to be that, okay, now we are no longer a nation that outside nations can reap the spoils from. But they didn't. This is really the thing that now Americans are going to come to learn. The Thomas Aquinas approach to that, was it Christianity is not built for attack. It is built around the way that it is built in the order and accordance of God. So it is built for defense. And that being able to defend one's position, that means if one is besieged, you can win. At this point now, America is besieged. And it will be those who can defend themselves, that can handle the siege. They're the ones who are going. That's who will win. And just look at the nutters. Look at the nutters all over TikTok. They have a supercomputer in their hands. They have every book available that could be delivered to them at a moment's notice, used for a tenth of the price it originally was. Free if they could just do a little research, but they'd have to read it from a screen. And yet, they will not survive the siege. For how dark it might look, attack becomes obvious at the moment that the opportunity is there. And it's a quick strike and then it's over. Just that the meme war really showed that. That's the hard part. That takes time. That takes a lot of time and experience to see. Now I see the space in the armor. Defend for everybody out there, for everybody who sees that this is a conflict of our times. It's defend, which means make sure the encampment, everybody in the camp, is assured of their safety, that there aren't people trying to usurp. Note today, what's it called? Ann Coulter trying to, if you all would just dump Trump out of the camp. See, now we're really starting to see this. Just found out today, Georgia has, there's this company that basically will fund progressives and Democrats, and they will run as Republicans in local races, and then they'll get in as a Republican, and they'll stab us in the back. And so now people are starting to figure this out. I think if I hadn't posted already in Discord, I will post it. So it's now finding those who are not America first out of the camp. Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon is about Steve Bannon first. He's not. We're starting to see all of them are exposing themselves. The Sedona Forum and all these Republicans who are going to that, who many of them obviously rhinos, but some of them I think people will be like, that person too, you too, out of the camp. And you start throwing them out there because they won't survive the siege. They need the goodness that exists within the camp, the camaraderie. This is why, to a great extent, the kind of infighting that will happen. There was a long period of kind of infighting among the young right that was really just so obtuse and immature that it was a bit sad to see that it was like, why won't you guys just understand what you really need to deal with? It's out there. So now one of the big things is help those within the camp. Just make sure that share people's channels and platforms with other people. A lot of that's the best thing to do. And then also remember, take reports and evaluate them. Sometimes you'll find these people who are like these boomer conservatives that there's boomer conservatives that just think the Groypers are the worst possible thing in the world because they don't understand them. They just don't understand the America First movement or the Groypers. Because for them, Social Security and all that, the system worked to a great extent for them. They cannot conceive of what it's like to be young during this. They just can't. They'll defend birth control, as if it had some reasoning behind it or moral good. When was it Thomas Sowell clearly pointed out in the Vision of the Anointed, or the Conflict of Visions, I forget what, there's a variety of versions. I have Vision of the Anointed, that the pregnancy crisis, the young pregnancy crisis, this wasn't real. There was no crisis of the young getting pregnant at inordinate numbers, and kids everywhere. That wasn't true. There was never numbers for this. This was just a writer's campaign. But boomers, in many cases, they can't consider this because they got all the benefits of birth control. They got to shtup. They got all the sex they wanted. They had all the fun they could ask for. But they can't imagine now, and now, 3 generations down the line, we're starting to see, birth control fucks up your brain and makes you make strange decisions. And it makes women unlikable, and it fucks up their physiology. For them, it didn't matter. They had their sex, they got to party, then they got married, and then they got relatively complacent. And so take their reports, evaluate them. Don't just throw them out, oh, this is some boomer thing. This is just Q-tards. No. Just note, because they were right about the GCC. Some of these older guys, they were right about the Gulf Cooperation Council. Are you seeing what's happening in Tunisia? If you start looking up recent articles on Tunisia, we are going to find even the Washington Post has said that Tunisia is the last link in the fall of this Tunisian government, or whatever's going on there, is the last link in political Islam. So that means the end of the Wahhabists, the Muslim Brotherhood, and the Salafists, just as MBS was. That's the same thing, coincides with MBS, the Israeli accords with all those countries. Without firing a shot, things can be won, because circumstances always, everybody everywhere has their political interests and has to defend themselves against the circumstances that occur. America right now is just at a lower point because Democrats can't govern. And this is becoming more and more obvious. That's the chink in the armor. You just show everybody. Right now, I was just reading that at a quiet, what was once a quiet, underused shopping center, Westlake, in Daly City, in the San Francisco area, that there is a scam, so that people will park a really expensive car near yours, and that as you're driving, they'll be like, hey, you hit my window. So because this woman was smart enough to know that there was a scam like this, she told them, okay, follow me, called the cops, and drove to the police station. Now, unfortunately, even though these people, it turned out, were out-of-state criminals, no arrests were made. So Democrats can't govern. So now, that's the bad part of the story, is that the police just didn't do shit. But these people were trying to scam her. She was smart enough. Defense. She could have gotten her car jacked. She could have taken, who knows what would have happened if these people had gotten her to pull over at the right spot at the right time. So it's gentle as a dove, but wise as the serpent. This is now about defense and a bit of waiting. August is going to be a big month, it looks like. There's just too many stories that are coming out. And now with the leaks that are coming out about Pfizer, there's now Democratic areas of the country that are saying, no, we're not masking up again. We have no idea what's going on now. Now we're being told, just do what the authorities say. It's even getting to them. It's even now digging at the fundamental, the anger at authority that is really one of the most key aspects of the Democratic personality. So don't lose hope and think that some kind of kookball overuse of the military will ever work. We're even seeing that. We think too much of the military being useful. We just think the military is just far too useful of a way of handling things. It's defense. It's making sure that everybody who's in the camp can eat. And that requires making sure everybody has something that they can do. Trusting that when you see somebody in motion tarrying about, that they've got a plan for themselves. This is a very libertarian kind of way of thinking. This is not very kind of centralized, we need a bishop or a pope to tell everybody what to do. This is very much the American way of being. Trust that everybody's trying to do something, and that really what you have to look out for are the people who are obviously kind of up to something. They're trying to do too much by, like Ann Coulter, trying to get people to look all over the place, to look here, look there. Because now we're spotting them. Now we're spotting all these rhinos. Now they can't help it. Everybody's they're showing like, no, but maybe if you just let some of these enemies in the gates, it won't be so bad. I'm Mitt Romney, and it's like, it's so. Remember, you were like, if we just do this, and it's like, no, they won't survive monsoon season. At this rate, they won't survive monsoon season, and now it's looking like the Three Gorges Dam. I mean, if you could see the Three Gorges Dam bowing, images of the Three Gorges Dam that they're showing, that they're trying to be like, Three Gorges Dam, so many strong, that you could look at it and you're like, is it supposed to look like that, though? It looks literally like the section with the water going through is stretching. And so it's only a matter of time. And this is, and also remember, now they have to cover up the deaths. They have whole tunnels that are, what was it, like 2 or 3 miles long tunnel, underground tunnel that had cars in it, that, so this would fit like something like 3,000 to 6,000, like 3,000 cars. So when 2 people in the car, that's 6,000 people. And they were like, oh yeah, 28 dead. And so and then remember, water has to drain, and there is nothing like waterborne illness. That's the region of the world of waterborne illness. And now they're totally fucking up their economics as well, because the worst are on top. The worst are running everything, because they have 1,000 popes running every bishopric. So every region is run by some little Mao. And so everybody's ripping each other off as fast as they can, even though they're all stuck there. I just wanted to put this out there, because every once in a while I'll be sitting here and baking in this freaking heat, sort of losing some hope. But then there's just these little things, and then it's that feeling I get. Bing! Remember what he said? And then it starts rolling. And that's not me. That's something else that I got to count on it being something else from on high. It reminds me. Remember, and so now, I mean, even with the migrant invasion now, something that a lot of you younger people on the right have to remember, that E-Verify, the E-Verify thing for jobs, that you have to verify that, when they send in, okay, here's this person, here's their information, social security. Okay, and it turns out that's been rendered voluntary. All that has to be done is at every state level, every local level, which the majority of the country now is ruled pretty much by Republican legislatures and local officials. All that has to be done is that E-Verify has to be confirmed at the local level. That, oh no, we require that E-Verify, we double check with E-Verify, and you force the federal government to have to make that system work. It can be done. Don't get this wrong. It can be done. The minute it's not lucrative, the minute those remittances aren't flowing back to those origin countries, all of a sudden you're going to see they'll all expose themselves. They will all expose themselves the minute that's done. And I really mean this for everybody. You make sure that this stays in the back of your mind all the time. Always hit Republicans up about verifying citizenship for work. And that's because that's it. That's the solution to the immigration problem right there. All right, because are they a member of our camp? Defense. Think defense.